going down. It's going down, 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 down. It's going
Side stag. Woo!
There you go.
All right, people. Thank you for joining the MCU's Bleeding Edge tonight. We are live here Wednesday evening, 6:15 as usual. Our usual time. Well, we try to be at least on our usual time. But anyways, tonight we're going to be discussing the second episode of the Disney Plus series, Miss Marvel. And we are going to be talking about the episode called Crushed. All right. So we have a amazing panel for you guys tonight. Of course, we have my ever supporting co-host, Mr. Jeff S., Mr. TrueKnowledge in the house here, of course. But we actually have a couple of newcomers coming to our panel for the first time. And then, of course, we have one returning. And, they're just great people that enjoy talking Marvel, and we're looking forward to hearing from them. So to start us off, we have Ellie, who's a first time here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Welcome, Ellie. And go ahead and give us a brief talk about who you are and what your podcast about.
Yeah, for sure. So I am the host of All Day with Ellie. It stemmed from my love for movies, my love for Marvel, my love for fandom. I love talking about these things, and I often have guests on who also feel the same. So the whole premise, of course, is to talk about these topics that we could literally ramble on about all day. So it's totally fandom and nerd-centric. And as I've been beginning to tell everyone, I'm like, it's about 80% Marvel content and anything surrounding that wonderful studio that I've devoted my life to, essentially.
Awesome. Thank you. And like I said, once again, welcome to the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We're looking forward to future collaborations with you as well. All right, so also coming in with us is JD. I believe this is your first time here, right, JD?
This is my first time here,
right.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So welcome, JD, to the MCU's Bleeding Edge. And please, give us a little info about yourself, JD.
I am also a podcaster. I am one of 5 co-hosts of Level 7 Access Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, which started 8 years ago as a Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast and has just kind of chugged along with the rest of the MCU. I do some voice acting. You can find me on a few other audio drama podcasts as well.
Excellent. Thank you. And yeah, definitely we'll have to check that podcast out. See that evolution going on there from Agent S.H.I.E.L.D. to present. That's awesome.
Once upon a time, we only had 3 podcast hosts on that show. We just pick them up as we go.
Nice. That's great. It's always great when you get...
I'm hoping we can just end the show once we're up to like 10 hosts, when it's just absolutely unlistenable at that point. That's what I'm hoping we can hang it up.
Awesome. Definitely, yeah. 10. That's pushing it there. All right. So, and returning, which I recall having Dre on before. Welcome, Dre, once again to the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Great to have you, sir. And go ahead and give us your info, sir.
So again, my name is Diandre Robinson. I'm from the Mash Debaters podcast. Actually, we have two podcasts. We have the Mash Debaters where we debate some most of the unlikely topics, and when I mean unlikely, I mean definitely unlikely. This week, which is tomorrow's episode, we're doing the best J-Lo movie. I'm not the biggest J-Lo fan, but it is what it is. We do talk about a lot of Marvel and superhero stuff as well. Like we're doing the top 104 superhero movie tournament right now. And that's how me and Jeff linked up from this. And then we also have Mash Debaters Presents The 3 Count. It's a wrestling podcast where we're talking about AEW and WWE and everything in between. So that is me. And yeah, I'm just happy to be back on.
Thank you. Awesome. Great to have you back, sir.
You know, Dre, The Cell is the best J-Lo movie.
So that's not even in the top 5.
Oh,
it's not. Nobody picked The Cell. It's not even on there. It's not.
Oh man, that's rough.
It's not on there. Yeah, sorry. And it kind of made it, but The Cell did not. Just let you know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is a good movie.
I mean, we all get to pick one movie each, and then we got to debate why it's the best movie. Again, I'm not the biggest J-Lo movie, so I just thought of a movie that would just be good for me. So don't blame me if the sun not on there. The J-Lo,
no,
J-Lo
I absolutely blame. No, I totally blame your panel. They're not here to defend themselves.
Excellent. All right, guys, thank you. All right, so moving on. So we have the trailers lined up here to get us going into this Ms. Marvel Episode 2 review. And Sir Jeff, if you have those ready, sir, they can be played.
Okay, so first off, I just want to say, I get it.
You get what?
High school.
Kamala. Another adventure shirt. Cute. She thinks I'm some kind of weirdo.
You are a weirdo.
Boys.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You're kind of on my shit.
Sorry.
But you're staring out the window in your little fantasy land. Kamala, hey, already? Really? Come on, like...
Do I have to figure out my whole future before lunch, or is there like... Maybe they're right. I spend too much time in fantasy land.
That is not you.
It's not really the brown girls from Jersey City who save the world. That's the fantasy too.
Did something happen to you?
No, why? Did you hear something?
Kamala? What does it feel like?
Cosmic. I always thought I wanted this kind of life, but I never imagined any of this.
Do you know what you are?
I'm a superhero. So what, am I like his guardian or something? Dude, am I related to Thor?
Oh, no, I didn't say any of that.
Bruno!
Maybe. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Does this look like some kind of writing here?
It's hard to read. Looks like Arabic or Urdu. I don't know.
Okay. Well, let's focus on what we know. Light comes out of you, and it hardens.
Let's call it hard light.
Groundbreaking.
Shimamoto 刑事、とどめを刺せ。やめろ！島本刑事！やめろ！ やめろ。どうだな。助けに来た男に殺される気分は。鉄十字団に恨みを持つ麻薬刑事さ。スパイダーストリング。格闘技世界チャンピオンスパイダーマン。
Thank you. Brought to you by Mattel. I don't know. I have no idea what that was. I don't think that was Spider-Man though.
That was actually a better acted and directed film than Miss Marvel.
Gotcha. You mean
Without
Captain
question.
Marvel?
Captain Marvel, I apologize. Not Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel's actually definitely outshined that already.
All right, so welcome back, folks. I hope you enjoyed those little trailers there. Kind of get you in the mood for Miss Marvel Episode 2 Crushed. All right, so to start off this episode, so we got kind of an beginning intro, basically a recap, and then the previous episode, and then pops right into Kamala going back to school. Basically, she struts down the thing like she's, her shit don't stink, basically. And she's, like, in the greatest mood and all this kind of stuff. She's, like, she makes sure those two people get away from her, her locker so she can get into it. She tells the one bully don't do that and all this kind of stuff. And she's, like, more empowered, which is a really good, I feel, good start to the episode. And it's kind of funny how all those different interactions she has in that first beginning scene there. And just like how she's so different from what we first saw her in the very first episode. So my first question for the panel is, what were your thoughts on that intro scene? Was there anything that stood out to you? Was there anything that seemed, that maybe somebody else missed that you noticed? Or was there anything about it that you didn't like? Starting with you, JD.
So I don't know that I noticed anything that anyone else didn't, but if you've ever seen a coming of age movie or show or even like a show about a young hero that gets their powers, like you're almost legally obligated to have this scene in your production. So it would have been weird to not have it. But it was a very charming and cute version of it, and I enjoyed it. It still, I think, highlighted some of Kamala's quirkiness, which has been, a very significant part of the show's charm and appeal. So in that vein, I thought it was very effective.
Okay, thank you. How about you, Dre? Your thoughts?
So I thought it was a great opening scene. I actually thought that watching it first, like I watched the second episode literally at 12 o'clock at night. So, and I'm trying to watch it very low volume because I just had a newborn baby and I didn't want to wake her up.
Hey, congratulations, Dre.
Thank you. But I actually thought that it was like, first of all, this show's edited well done. Like the edits for this show is freaking fantastic. I actually thought that this was a dream or something else. I didn't think was real until which came into this opening scene. But when you find out it is real, like, oh, this is great. She got the powers give her some confidence. She told the teacher, "Listen, my name is not said that way." Tell the two girls to get out away from her locker, but she support gay love and stuff like that. So stop the bully. So I actually love this first scene. I did.
Thank you. Awesome. Ellie, your thoughts?
Oh my god, I loved it. It was so cute, and like her energy was so infectious. Like I was just like smiling along, and I was just like so excited for her, and I was just like, yeah, you like strut down that hallway, like you tell that teacher off. They've been like calling you literally the wrong name for so long. You have like the confidence now to correct them, and it's just like as you should. And I just loved her energy, and I was like, yes, I love this for her, and I love that she's like been feeling so empowered by having these powers now, and I'm just like excited to see how far she goes within the series.
Yeah, that was really funny that when she corrects that teacher, that I laughed very out loud at that because I just thought that was like perfect because there's so many times that happens in real life with teachers. They keep calling the person the wrong name. So
That's happened with my friends before, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, so that was a great part of that scene.
My name is literally 2 letters, and teachers messed it up in school. So,
yeah, they can't listen. Diandre was a name that was called a lot. And God is truth, in high school, there was a girl named Diandre in my high school. So, so even with that, with her name spelled different, I was still Diandre for a long period of time in high school.
Wow. Yeah. So So a lot of people, I'm sure, have come across this. I'm sure a lot of people too. So I think that makes it very potent on it too as well. Jeff, your thoughts, sir?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, everybody's pretty much covered, what came out of that initial scene for the most part. But what I would like to just connect off of would be, I guess, sort of, Diandre kind of wrapping into the end of the first episode when she first revealed her powers and whatnot and everything, and him mentioning, all the almost like the dreamlike state or almost like type scenes that we've seen kind of in a way at times and everything and whatnot, which I've noticed that they have kind of gone in that direction a little bit, and added some elements to that. This is something that we didn't cover really when we did the review of the first episode. Just that, I guess, as a part of her new power set that they've come up with for her for the series, that's sort of different than the comic books. In the comics, she doesn't. Nothing with her powers that has anything to do with there being any type of reality bending or anything like that, or any dreamlike states going on or anything like that. They're pretty straightforward. I believe to be accurate, she is bioluminescent, has morphogenic abilities, is a polymorph, shapeshifter, has a healing factor, has superhuman speed, and has superhuman strength in the comic books, right? Now, they've limited that to some extent, and they've added some different stuff now at this point. She now doesn't have superhuman strength. At least at this point, it doesn't seem that she does. She doesn't have superhuman speed or reflexes. And so it's just interesting, I guess, watching and seeing these new powers that they've kind of came up with for her, and kind of trying to figure out what's going on, I guess, with this whole deal. You know what I mean? I'm a little bit. It's not a bad thing at all. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to kind of decipher what's sort of going on with some of this stuff that's going on with her powers.
Yep, that is a very good point. Yeah, we didn't really talk too much about her powers in the last episode. And that's definitely a good, how they changed and altered her powers from the comic books. Because I actually, the other night after we did the first episode, I actually went and read the very first Kamala comic book on Marvel Unlimited. And how that plays out, the first episode is kind of similar to that first comic and in some senses, but at the same time they completely altered what she ends up becoming, because basically she really is a carbon copy of Mr. Fantastic is pretty much what she is. So I mean, the fact that Disney decided to move it in a different direction where they're giving her these glass powers, basically making her all shiny and stuff like that, and be able to stand on it and walk and stuff. It's almost like they took from other comics and put it into her power set a little bit to alter her, because they still give her kind of the stretching ability with that power, but at the same time they alter it completely, so that a lot of people have problems with that. I've noticed, I've seen in comments, I've seen on other reviews and stuff like that, but all in all, I still think it's kind of cool what they decided to do with it, and I've kind of found it interesting so far. What I've seen, especially in this episode.
Well, when we get more to see it across the span of the whole series, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out when she really gets complete access to her powers and whatnot and everything, and really untaps into them, because she really is just starting to figure stuff out right now. Yeah. But honestly, just based off of like what I just listed, what she had in the comic books, if they would have gave her that power set from the comics, that would have been pretty interesting. I mean, she could do a lot of shit.
Yeah, they would have had to. I mean, they painted themselves in a corner when Inhumans bombed, because they really can't go back to that. Well, I mean, look, they're Marvel. I guess they could if they wanted to, but they definitely don't. So they had to change her up, and I'm not sure how they would have figured out to give her like stretchy limb powers and keep it somewhat grounded ish. With the with not having that Inhuman kind of genesis, and with mutants not being a thing yet.
Yeah.
So they had to kind of thread that needle. I think they've done it pretty well. I think they've done a pretty interesting job with it so far. It's actually like her power set is pulled from a lot of different sources. I believe that the original Captain Marvel is a pretty significant inspiration to her power set as well. So yeah, I think they've done a good job of like kind of keeping it true to the comic origins, but changing it up to kind of meet the needs of where the MCU is now.
Yeah, and I do want to pick it back off what something JD said as well. First things first. There are mutants in the MCU now. If you didn't watch Doctor Strange, go and watch that.
Sure, but they're not.
I'm just saying. They're not there in that universe yet. I understand, but there technically are mutants there. I want to get that caveat right there. However, though, something you said about Inhumans, how Ms. Marvel got her powers were from the mist,
the Tarragon mist from Black Bolt.
Yeah, and JD's right. That show bombed it, and I'm pretty sure that Marvel's they want to get the hell away from that as much as possible. So I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's one of the main reasons why they changed up her power structure, something like that. Because my theory, I'm not sure we're doing theories now, but my theory is that it's either Kree or either Kree or something else. I mean, we'll get to that later, but that's my theory, and that's how she got her powers. So I actually like. If it goes that direction, that's great. But you want to get away from the Inhumans. You want to get
I don't know if anybody else watched that show, but if you did, I'm very sorry for the 8 hours of your life.
I didn't watch any of it, but I'll riff right off of Dre and say that I agree with him that it would not surprise me if, considering the fact that we already know Ms. Marvel's going to be in Captain Marvel 2, the Marvels. It would not surprise me at all, considering the fact that the Secret Invasion is going to tie into Captain Marvel 2 and her relationship already with the Skrulls and with the God, why am I spacing? The Kree. I think that Dre's right. I see this heading in a direction where they're going to end up involving the Skrull and maybe not the Skrulls for their powers, but the Skrulls and the Kree in general are going to end up being a part of her story in some way.
It's really hard not to watch this show and just point at the screen and be like, I'm pretty sure you're Kree, though. Like, anybody that walks by.
I don't want to get too far ahead, but I'm telling you right now, I'm already catching a whiff that, like, the Skrulls were already in the series.
Well, so God is true. I do too. I mean, again, I'm not going to touch control head, but the DOC. I even said, I even said that in Spider-Man No Way Home that they feel like more a Skrull to me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cyber. We're not going. I'm sorry, Cyber. I started it. I didn't mean to jump ahead so far. I'm stopping right there. Let's pull it back. Let's draw it back.
I'll stop. There you go.
Let's talk. We want to talk about that later, guys. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So moving on with that scene. Thank you, everyone, for your talks there. Moving on with that scene. So basically, Kamala bumps in, of course, to her friend. And they basically have a little talk, and then it basically goes to the cafeteria. Where then the cafeteria, all of a sudden, pops in Zoe Zimmer, who is explaining her interaction with Kamala at the Comic-Con that they went to, the Avengers Con, as they like to call it. And basically saying, she saved me, and she's making herself even more popular and all that kind of good stuff, and ends up coming up with a nickname for Kamala as Nightlight. What was everyone's thought on Nightlight, the name Nightlight? I gotta see what everyone's thoughts was on this, starting with you, Dre.
All right, so before I go on the Nightlight name, she went to what, 1 million views, a million followers.
Followers, yeah.
If she got saved, listen, man, that I wish. I wish. All right, Nightlight is a horrible name. I'm just gonna say that right now. It's a horrible name, and she had the right reaction when she heard that, like Nightlight. However, she didn't like the fact that she could compare it to Captain Marvel as well, so she didn't really get too upset. But if she wasn't like a true fan nerd, she should be upset. Should be upset. And that's actually a callback from Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah.
I think you call it I forgot what was
Night Monkey,
something like that. Yeah. So I would be upset with those corny behind names, but that's just me.
Yeah, as soon as she called her Nightlight, I was cracking up. Because I was like, out of all the things you could think of, Nightlight? Really? Nightlight? Mm-hmm. I just think that was hilarious. JD, your thoughts on the name Nightlight?
Disney, you have a lot of money. You can afford the name Lightbright. Like, you could probably pay the licensing rights for Lightbright. Like, it's just right there.
What? Exactly. What? Awesome. Thank you. Ellie, your thoughts on the name Nightlight?
Oh my god, it's so stupid. It's so dumb, but I'm also like, I mean, if that's like the best you can do in like a panic situation, it is what it is. Like, it reminded me of Far From Home as well, when Ned was like panicking. He's just like, Night Monkey. And then I'm like, in a panic situation, when you're like stressed and you're like, okay, oh god, what's their name? You go with what you got. So I'm like, in that regard, I'm like, okay. I feel like I probably wouldn't have been able to come up with anything better in that moment. So I was like, I'll take Nightlight. I'll take it.
Awesome. Thank you. And Jeff, your thoughts on Nightlight? Any thoughts, sir?
I mean, I don't even know what to say. Come on. I mean, Jesus. Nightlight, man. Like, I mean, I don't even know. I mean, come on. Yeah. You know, Trevor, my 12-year-old son could have come up with a better name than that.
Yeah. So like overall, I think that was just kind of a very funny scenario, them coming up with that name. And as we'll see later on the episode, that has kind of stuck. So I think that's kind of funny that it stuck, kind of like the Night Monkey thing in Spider-Man Far From Home, like everyone was talking about. All right, so after that whole conversation there, basically Kamala and her friend there, which his name is passing me up here.
Bruno?
Yeah, Bruno, thank you.
But we don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about him.
We don't talk about him. Anyways, Bruno and Kamala, they decide, let's check out my powers. So basically they give us this nice little like 2-minute long montage of her trying out her powers. And you get some interesting action sequence going in there. You got some interesting things happening, like her over the building, and then actually it's only like a little step below and stuff like that. And we have this, beautiful montage, which I think has some really nice music score and just was really fun to see her kind of messing with these powers. So my next question for the panel is, what were your thoughts on that montage? And was there anything, was there anything that you enjoyed about it? Was there anything you hated about it? Would have rather seen something else there? Like seeing her how she used her powers, like, or anything like that. So starting with you, Ellie.
Oh my gosh, it was so cute. It was like an adorable little montage of like just like her with her close friend testing out the powers. But I gotta say, that little moment when he was like holding her and she was like, "You have to let me go." I literally got flashbacks to Endgame, to Clint and Natasha. I was like, Marvel, are you serious? Like, time and time again, they do these little moments where they like allude to that moment between Clint and Natasha at Vormir, and I was like, I don't need this pain. I was like, I just want like fun vibes. But that was just like the moment that I kept thinking about at like the end of the episode, and I was just like texting my friends about it. And like in the middle of the episode, and in that moment, I was like texting my friend my like reactions as I was watching, and I was like, why did they do this to me? I was like, I don't need to feel sad again. I don't need to remember Natasha's death.
Very much so. I agree. Dre, your thoughts, sir?
So yeah, I was gonna say that the end game callback was a little bit sad. I mean, a lot of deaths and departures in end game, which hits the heartstrings. Somebody's cutting onions, I do like the fact that Bruno is trying to figure out where her powers come from. Actually, her powers come from inside. It's not through the possession that she has. Come through inside, and then they made little jokes about is she related to Thor and all that kind of good stuff. So, I mean, it was actually a pretty fun montage. It reminded me of a very, very nerdy, up-to-date 80s montage with what people working out. So I did enjoy it, yes.
Awesome. Thank you. JD, your thoughts, sir?
I mean, first of all, Ellie, your reaction is exactly why they did that to you. They got exactly what they wanted. I mean, again, like if you're doing a coming of age teenage hero story where they just got their powers, this is a legally mandated component of what you need to present. And again, like one of the better examples of that, I would say. The music in this show is so good.
The music is so amazing.
And the music that they chose to use for that montage was just so perfect to the vibe and everything that was going on. Her trying to speculate on who she might be related to was a very cute and very, I think, a very true to what a Avengers nerd that got powers living in that universe would do.
Oh, 100%.
But she's super Kree, so she doesn't have to worry about it. And it was like, oh, the powers come inside of you and not from the bracelet? Well, I don't need any more evidence. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Jeff, any thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I mean, it was like, I guess, pretty, it was pretty, I don't want to say stereotypical or anything like that and whatnot, but we knew we were going to get like a her trying to like figure her powers out deal. We were going to get that in this episode. It was going to happen. And hey, I mean, as far as how they did it, it was entertaining. You know what I mean? It was kind of lighthearted. It didn't really tell us anything really like, impactful in terms of what we saw and whatnot and everything. I guess farther down in the episode, we saw more. But I think that as of right now, I think they want us to kind of just have a very limited kind of idea of what she can do and everything and whatnot, and for her to kind of like not really have like a real full sense of what she can do. And I guess maybe it's almost going to be a kind of situation where it's almost going to be Moon Knight-esque, where it's going to take actual like danger or like imminent like violence or something or whatnot that's going to have to like cause her to almost have to like learn on the fly, in terms of what she can really do, what her potential is.
Yeah, I think I think the big takeaway that we get from the montage scene is she has figured out how to get around the fact that she can't canonically fly by giving her a power that kind of lets her do it, which was pertinent for the rest of the episode. But beyond that, yeah, we don't know. And we don't really know why she can step on the light when she couldn't before, and what the cause of that is, other than she has to make the concentrate-y face to be able to step on the platforms.
Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Dre. Go ahead, Dre.
I want to say this about being lighthearted. I mean, normally, you can name like all the rest of Disney Plus shows, and the first 2 episodes are definitely lighthearted. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I know that WandaVision was regarded one of the best Disney Plus shows of all time. It was the last 2 years. However, though, I did not like the first 2 episodes because it was quote unquote lighthearted, but it was like drawn out and was a little bit boring and stuff like I was saying now. But
there were some sinister undertones in that episode.
Oh my gosh, right?
So the first 2. So like, man, so we will learn more. I mean, obviously from the ending of this episode, we will learn more in episode 3 and 4. But man, I decided to take it with how it was. I mean, it was just something cool to see and something you can laugh at.
Yeah, and just one last thing, Cyber. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens if this projection energy power that she has ends up turning into and morphing into some kind of thing that actually does not always lead to her actually like creating these crystallized, like hard surface type, deals. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up turning into some kind of situation where she actually can project energy blasts of some kind, like almost Captain Marvel-esque.
Well, she did kind of at the end when she saved that kid. When the kid dropped and she blasted those glass stairs, I guess you want to call them. But she did kind of do that. But I mean, I'm pretty sure she will learn how to do more with that power later on in life.
She also threw that chunk of her power at the door to keep her dad out.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. Very true. Thank you. All right. So moving on. So after that scene, Kamala goes home. She's talking with her mom and asks if she could go to a party. And her mom says, yeah, she can go to a party. And so we have this party that Zoe Zimmer is throwing, for her kind of like her, coming out that I was saved by, nightlight type of deal thing. And so they go to the party, her, Bruno. And that's when she comes in contact with the first time with her crush, as we like to call him.
I don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, the crush, I'm going to call him the crush. No matter whatever everyone wants to call him, I'm going to call him the crush. Anyways, she gets her first glimpse of him, and she's like, all that kind of good stuff. And they have like the party. They're having some talk and all that kind of good stuff. And then all of a sudden the cops pop up. They're like, oh, no. And so they're like, we got to get out of here. And then all of a sudden she pops into the car with this crush, supposedly crush. And they kind of have a little talk in there. And he says, here's my number and all that kind of good stuff. And basically, I can teach you how to drive, basically type of deal. Kind of like asking her out on a date. So hence why I call him like a crush. Mm-hmm. And so that happens. And then basically we kind of goes from there, and all of a sudden things start happening, and that's when all of a sudden she starts having these glitches, as I like to call them. And we have a scene where she's sitting in class, and all of a sudden her nose starts glowing, and she's like, "What's going on here? Like, what's going on?" And so she goes to the bathroom, and then her friend follows her, and basically they have like a little combo and stuff like that going on. And then all of a sudden it switches to them having to go to this, I believe it's like a Muslim communion, I think is what it was, basically.
Mosque.
Yep, thank you. And they were going there and doing this ritual, whatever you want to call it. And they basically have like a combo going on there, and and all that kind of stuff. And once again, Kamala's head's up in the clouds, that kind of deal. And that happens, and then all of a sudden we going to this other kind of like shindig, basically, that they end up going to. And it's a really fun shindig type of thing, and I believe it was called the Mubrak, as they call it.
Eid Mubarak, I believe, is the holiday. It's basically, I mean, it's a high holy day for the Muslim faith, I believe.
All right, awesome. So we have that going on, but in between going on with that, we have a scene with Bruno. He goes and talks to that very peppy guidance counselor that we got to be introduced in the first episode, and basically tells Bruno that he got accepted for this internship to Caltech. And he's not sure at first if he wants to basically go, and because it's in California, so he's like, can I think about it, kind of deal. And they kind of leave it off at that. Then as we proceed more, that's when all of a sudden Kamala has her date with the supposed crush, as Mr. Dre does not call a crush. And so this supposed crush, who we all know because of how the ending happens, and he's something else. We know that. But basically they're out on this like supposed date, and they're talking and stuff like that, and her brother pops up. And basically she starts talking about how, oh, this is our cousin, and it's from this uncle, and all this stuff, and they're making up this whole shiny thing, which is super hilarious. And the brother's kind of looking like, okay, along with, who I believe is supposed to be his future wife.
Mm-hmm.
And basically she's like, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, uncle that and uncle this and stuff like that, and they kind of have this like kind of awkward moment type of thing, which was really fun, I thought, and kind of more of an introduction to that character of the supposed crush. And so then we go to a family dinner, which gonna be bringing us to that Mubraka, and they kind of have a conversation, and all of a sudden Kamala has an episode, basically, and all of a sudden she goes into another realm, basically, which almost gives me multiverse vibes. That's what kind of, in the first episode, that's what it kind of gave me when she first put on the bracelet. It kind of like was almost like a multiversal thing, like America Chavez can travel dimensions almost. And that's what kind of vibe it gave me. So my next question for the panel is, what were your thoughts on that blackout that happened there? Do you think that it's a sign of something bigger to come? Do you see it as something that's just there? Or do you see it, is there more to it than you think? Starting with you, Dre.
It's a couple things. The mosque that they went to, Muslim faith, had to pray 5 times a day. And normally it's community, sometimes with community praying. So it's basically like going to church for them, for the Muslim faith. Just want to put that out there right there. Second thing is we'll get to why I don't call her why I don't call him the crush later in life, later in the show. I think that so I wasn't here for episode 1, obviously, but I think that the part where she went to in Moon Knight, we got window that there's different planes you go to when you go. So Black Panther has his, Moon Knight had his, and we found out from, I forgot the god name, the hippo god name, I forgot her name, but we found out that sorry, that there are different type of planes like that. So I'm thinking my flawed theory is that that's one of those planes for Miss Marvel. I mean, we don't get there, go there a lot because it looks extremely dangerous with a lot of zombies. but I think it's one of those planes. I do think that her outbreaks from like having the glass nose and the glass hand and the eyelids and getting certain glass as well are from emotions. Every time that happened, it was some type of emotion that happened. Either she found out about her grandma, or she liked the boy, or whatever. It was from some type of emotion. So, I mean, obviously, again, it's only episode 2, so soon you will get see her control those powers very soon, because she's going to have to, because shit. Sorry, things about to get real. So yeah, I just think it's just from emotion. The reason why those things happen.
Thank you. Awesome. JD, your thoughts, sir?
Gosh, so many. I really have been very pleased with the depiction of the Muslim faith in this show, and with the representation of South Asian people in general. This is how you do it. I don't want to hear Marvel ever say that it's impossible or difficult to do, because this right here is how it's done. And it's, it's done in a very respectful way, and it's done in a very, I think, real way for the characters. So yeah, good stuff there. I really love, as much as I enjoy Kamala's relationship with Bruno, I really enjoy seeing her and Nakia's friendship. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy that character. I think she's very well done. And as far as the freak out goes, I like your theory. Mm-hmm. Mine, because I'm all in on this Kree thing over here. The Kree, I believe, have like a hive mind intelligence. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what she is accessing, is that. She is going to, because there's a lot of people around in this plane. Most of them are kind of lingering in the background, but they're there. And I think that her relative that they have alluded to a couple of times, I'm pretty sure that's who she sees when she does her freak out, is her, I think, great grandmother is who they reference her as, and I'm betting that that's who she sees when she decides to go to the upside down realm.
I won't say that I agree 100% with JD that that's exactly what's going on, but I will say that I got that same vibe that it might be like that it was the Kree, almost like astral plane that they can access almost. You know what I mean? Which is
I'm trying to remember like the name of it.
It reminds me in a way of Dune, and how in Dune Paul Atreides and then his children have the ability to have that Bene Gesserit mother or whatever ability where they can actually tap into, and they have all of the stored memories of their ancestors. You know what I mean? And they're there, like inside of their brains or in their heads or whatever. It reminds me of that in a way.
Thanks, Jay Run, for that comment. You're talking about Stranger Things.
Yeah. So I do want to say that I do agree with JD with one thing, and that I do actually think that it is Kamala's great grandma. However, though, that comes again at the end of the show. But I do think, well, I mean, in the second time you see her, it's pretty clear it's her as well. I mean, because you see her. Spoiler alert! You see her at the end of the episode as well. So I'm pretty sure that it's those two are the same people.
Thank you. Awesome. All right. Ellie, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of like just bounce off what JD was saying, I think seeing this representation is absolutely incredible, and the way that they've gone about it, it's amazing to see. I have so many South Asian friends and mutuals, and just like hearing them talk about the representation and like seeing themselves within the show is just so like beautiful to see. And it makes me so happy that they're being given this and that they have this show. And again, like JD said, Marvel's just proving that they can show and be an incredibly diverse world and give access so people can just see themselves in characters more, instead of, your typical phases 1 through 3 characters where there is a very certain type there. So Marvel can do it. So like Marvel, you can get your shit together and actually share more diverse stories. But as for kind of like theories, honestly, I just like don't have any. Like when it comes to this show, my mind is just like putting trust in Marvel. I'm like, I'm just gonna see what happens, and like maybe, just maybe, like for once, take a step back and not theorize throughout the entire season. Because like,
it's hard. That's
it's
hard to do.
right?
That's hard to do.
I
It's really
kind of
hard
did
to
that.
do.
I kind of did that for Hawkeye, and I got to tell you, I really enjoyed Hawkeye. It
Oh my
was
gosh,
a lot
Hawkeye
of
I
fun.
loved Hawkeye. I think like literally I had maybe 2-3 theories with like Hawkeye, but I never dived deep into them. Whereas, you know, with like the movies when they were coming out, oh my gosh, I was like filling up bingo cards. I was like talking with my friends constantly about like, okay, like this could happen, but this could also happen. Oh, maybe this person's going to make an appearance. But like with this one, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to take a step back because I don't know anything about Miss Marvel's character, like from the comics. Like I never really read into her. I kind of looked into what her powers were like, but that was really it.
So I do want to say that's hard to do, only because one, because what we do as for our podcast, we period. I mean, the 5 of us, have podcasts that we watch this show every single week. And it's hard in any show, period. Like a weekly episode running show, you're like, oh, what the hell's going to happen now? So it's hard not to theorize. However, though, I do want to say this though, that Hawkeye shows like Hawkeye and Falcon and Winter Soldier are shows that you don't really need to theorize that much, because those shows, although continues to continue the Marvel story, doesn't really have any that big of effect outside of changing characters. Now, shows like Loki, Captain WandaVision, definitely this, because this brings up the Marvels, and maybe She-Hulk, because it's coming out soon. It's kind of hard not to theorize that, because they changed the Marvel MCU universe. So
it's like actively needing to just like shut my brain off sometimes. I'm like, okay, just like watch it for what it is. If you want to theorize, like wait till the end of the episode to like think about.
So I'm gonna try that, but it's so hard to do. it's so hard.
It's a definite challenge, yeah.
All right, Jeff, do you have anything you would like to add to what you've already said, sir, on that scene?
No, just that. Oh, hey, what's going on, Jay Rent? How you doing? And what's going on, Dollface? I apologize. Comment section. Didn't even notice you guys. I'm so sorry. Anyways, no, I
noticed them.
Well, you could have let me.
I was going to, and then you just took it.
Well, anyways, I'm not nothing. I liked the fact that they had the really cool almost animated images, like when she saw the hot crush guy and everything come out of the pool with his shirt off and all that, and like they had the hearts and everything floating around and all that and everything. Like, hey, it is what it is. We knew Miss Marvel was going to be sort of a high school-esque, kind of again, on the lighter side kind of show. And I'm trying to indulge it. And bouncing off of Ellie, I'm trying to be optimistic and and be confident with Marvel Studios and just kind of let them do their thing and just throw this shit at me. And I'm taking it in. And hey, the lighthearted side of me dug the cool cartoonish hearts and shit and everything, and her getting getting a big crush on the dude and whatnot. I didn't think he was all that hot, honestly, but whatever.
Did you see that? Did you see that man do a triple flip into that pool?
It was impressive.
You mean to tell me, and then he came out and his pants were dry? Are you kidding me? But yeah, just to piggyback, it's very Scott Pilgrim.
That's a good comparison.
One of my favorite movies, so I immediately the visual style of this show. I was like, give. But yeah, when he did that triple flip into the pool, I was like, you're sus to me.
So I know I said I want to go into the show and not think of not theorize. However, though, I do think that I am I should did this. I should did that from episode 1, because again, like I said before, normally Marvel TV shows after 2, it start getting so good that you have to theorize now. Oh, what's going to happen? So I should have did this like episode 1, but because now we went episode 3, and episode 3 is normally some of the biggest cliffhangers in the middle of the show. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try, but I mean, oh goodness.
Episode 1 gives you almost nothing to theorize off of.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's so self-contained. It's all about the family drama, and then she gets her powers, and then the episode's kind of over, and it just gives you that little fraction of the mid-credit scene where you're like, wait, are those going to be our villains for the show? That's cool. I'm all right with that. And that's all episode 1 gives you.
Very true, very true. Hi to Dollface and to Jay Rent. Thank you for saying hi, Dollface. And yes, the Jeff and Cyber show. Yes, most definitely. Most definitely. Anyways, so thank you all for that great discussion there. So as we move on, so after that incident at the dinner table, Kamala decides to call her grandmother after she keeps hearing all these stories about her great grandmother. And so she tries talking to her grandmother, and basically she says, there's nothing to say. We don't want to talk about that. The same runaround basically that everyone in her family gives her. And we actually get to see that a little bit more at the actual the gathering they have, the Muraco, and just how that happens a little bit more during that scene there. So after she gets off the phone, that's when we got to see that scene that JD talked about earlier, where she used her powers to close the door on her dad so he couldn't come in. So we got to see a little bit more of her using her powers, which we got to see that actually in the trailer too as well. We got to see a little bit of that scene, which was really fun. And that was very awesome. I thought it was hilarious how it was like basically just pressed against the door and he couldn't move it at all. And that was pretty funny. And then finally he's able to open it and get in there. And she's like, "Did you say something, Dad? I'm sleeping. I wasn't on the phone."
I was like, he was outside. He heard you. You're a bad liar. Why is he why is he going along with this?
Exactly. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I thought that was pretty good. So basically after that, that's when we go to the gathering where they have that holy celebration, basically. And we have a great kind of scene there. I mean, we have a lot of different things going on during that scene. We have, of course, the cousin talking to the dad, basically trying to get his vote so that she can become the next whatever she's running for. I can't remember exactly what it was. She was trying to become some sort of official. And I think that was a really fun scene where she basically was like, "Do you want me and Kamala not to be able to have rights?" And so that was really funny. And I thought that was really fun, presented and stuff like that was really fun. And then it goes and, Kamala is hearing stories again from the other relatives and stuff like that. And, basically, once again, she asks, what about this great grandmother? And all of them are like, she was evil. She cursed this family and all this kind of stuff, which, surprisingly, that is actually very common in a lot of these different types of, ethnicities and so forth like that. Because I've heard a lot of different stories, from Hispanic, Indian, even Latino, all those different types of ethnicities. I've heard different stories and I've seen different stories in different types of documentaries, movies, and so forth. So this is kind of like a heritage thing kind of going on there with this, and I thought that was really well put into it to kind of give more to that culture for this show. So I thought that was kind of interesting scene, that how that ends up playing out. And during this whole gathering and stuff like that, all of a sudden we pan up to this high tower, and there's this young boy trying to take a selfie out the window. And we're all kind of just looking like, what the hell is this kid doing? Why is he up there alone to begin with? And why are you trying to take a selfie like this? Seriously, who does that? I've never seen anybody try to do that. I mean, unless they're kind of slow. But anyways, so he tries to take the selfie, and all of a sudden he drops his phone and he falls out the window and stuck there. And that's when Kamala sees an opportunity to use these new powers. So basically the whole end sequence of this episode, we have this really great kind of action out, scenes where it shows Kamala using her powers, saving this kid, and all that kind of good stuff. So my next question for the panel is what were your thoughts on that whole kind of that rescue sequence? Because it was kind of like actiony, comedy, all in kind of a learning experience, all that was going on there. So what were your guys' thoughts on that? Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Did you think it was dumb? Do you think there could have done more with it? And, just kind of an overall explanation of what you thought of the scene. Starting with you, JD.
So, I loved the Eid Mubarak festival that they had. I continue to adore the aunties on this show. They are very true to life in both. I think their affection and also their meddlesomeness. That's not a word. We'll go with it. The cousin Nakia is trying to run for like a position on the mosque's board. Kind of like most churches have like a organization, like a board of members that kind of run the church, I guess. And I imagine the mosque is very similar. For the rescue scene itself, I mean, I think the only complaint that I have is that Kamala took a month to get over there. Which, it makes sense given how new she is with her powers, and she's still trying to feel out, like, am I going to be able to walk out into the air to save this kid? She also waited until, like, everyone gathered around to watch. So that secret identity is pretty soon to be out the window. The only thing that I would say as a nitpick is I still don't think the show is doing the best job of kind of differentiating when her powers can work and when they don't work so well. I get that it's a concentration thing, but I don't know. I think the show is still kind of fuzzy on some of the rules. But yeah, it was a very bad time to go to the Upside Down. I'm sure that wasn't the most pleasant experience that she's had. But she's shown to be able to think on her feet and be able to adjust. And we ended up with a kid with only a very mildly sprained ankle. And I thought it was pretty true to life that the crowd almost immediately turned on her when that happened too. I was like, yeah, that tracks. But yeah, I thought it was a really good scene.
Thank you. Awesome. Very, very, very thought-provoking there. Everything you brought up. Really good. Dre, your thoughts, sir?
So I want to go off that, feedback off that sprained ankle. I've rewatched that like 3 or 4 times, and he landed on his back. Like, I want to say it right now.
Like he landed back on the canvas.
He landed on his back. Like, his feet was partially up. I want to say that right now. I mean, it goes with the show. You can't really have a show where say a kid landing on his back and now he's paralyzed. I mean, I understand that, but I just want to say that wasn't believable at all. Kamala cousins running for the board on the mosque is actually really ties into if you read more of Miss Marvel's comics, it goes in that is actually from the comics as well. I just want to make sure that is clear as well. That's from the comics. She actually runs, so she actually wins as well. Spoiler alert. But
that's good because Rashid seems like a douche. So
oh yeah, I love how she play with Kamala's father's heartstrings.
Yeah, that was great.
it was fantastic. The whole rescue scene to me, yeah, it took a long time to get there. It took a very long time to get there. But again, the face she's seen in that the flash forward or flashback, I still think it's a great grandma, which again we'll talk about later really soon. However, the one thing that was hilarious. Is that me?
No, that's Jeffrey.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. The one thing that I will say about the saving the little kid. One, the little kid is dumb as hell.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna say that right now. Two, not because of the selfie he tried to take, but that's one. But two, ice cream on pizza. Ice cream on pizza. I said, listen, when Miss Marvel said ill, I said ill as well. So I was like, that was disgusting. Hey, that is nasty. All right. I know some people said that they were trying to try it. No, I'm not. You keep that.
Dessert pizzas are a thing, but you don't keep the tomato
cream
sauce on it.
Oh my goodness, ice cream on pizza. But overall, but the timing of her saving him because she didn't know how to work her powers, I thought was okay. I mean, yes, it was long, but I thought it was okay as well. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, I am okay with her not actually saving him as well because it shows growth into her powers as well. I mean, the kid didn't die; he had a sprained ankle, but he didn't die. So I'm okay with that as well. It shows that she still has some growth to do with saving somebody. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big fan of someone getting powers off the bat and then saving people off the bat. Mm-hmm. Okay, I like to see growth, so I'm okay with the growth and her saving the kid. However, though, I would never eat ice cream pizza. That's disgusting.
Awesome, thank you, Ellie. Your thoughts?
I mean, I agree with the dessert pizza, like the ice cream on pizza. I'm like, a dessert pizza with ice cream on it, that's a totally different situation. But if you got like a pepperoni situation with a scoop of vanilla, no. I don't know what that kid was thinking, but as for like the whole like saving moment, I mean, I feel like it's so classic. You know, someone's in danger. You have these incredible powers. Like, you have this opportunity to do something. And you have that moment where it's like, I can go ahead and try to save the kid, or I can let him fall and see what happens. So, but she recognizes, you know, she's coming into her power. She's becoming a hero. And it comes with those decisions, right? So she takes that chance and she's like, I have these powers. I can help like save this kid, and I'm going to go do that. And she does that. And I'm like, you know, very proud of her. And obviously, again, I agree. Like, I'm kind of glad that it wasn't a total, like 100%, this kid is safe situation. There was kind of like a bad, let's quote unquote, like bad side of it. But then my other thought while watching this was like, you brought your Captain Marvel costume with you? I was like, where did you keep this?
I was like, where did you pull that from?
Exactly. I was like, wait a second. I was like, where did this costume come from? I'm like, did you bring it with you? Why? Like,
were you wearing it under?
Because she definitely wasn't wearing it under her clothes.
Right.
But yeah, that was like my fleeting thought in that moment amidst all the chaos. I was like, where did this come from? I'm like, where? Like, literally, where were you hiding it?
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, she all of a sudden came out in that suit, and I was thinking the same thing at the same time, and I was like, where did that come from? Why all of a sudden does she have her suit? Because I knew she was going to come out in the suit. I just knew that was going to happen. But I was like, where the hell did it come from? I was just like, crack it up. But yeah, definitely great points, Ellie. Very great points. Jeff, sir, your thoughts.
Yeah,
Mr. Noisy.
Well, I mean, I'm listening to everything everybody's saying and whatnot and everything, and I feel like they covered pretty much everything that like I would have mentioned about the whole scene, to tell you the truth. You know, this isn't, I feel like, compared to maybe some of the other Disney Plus series that we've covered before in the past, I feel like this is not any, I don't mean this in any negative way at all, but I feel like a lot of these scenes, like in episode 2 and in episode 1, are so straightforward that there just isn't that much multi-layered, you know, stuff to work with these scenes, really. You know, I mean, there's not really anything there existentially for me to grab onto, you know, and point out any unique or, you know, interesting stuff. So at that point, no, I mean, everybody pretty much covered everything I was going to say.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. And J-Ret, you are absolutely hilarious in the comments right now, sir. And thanks for all your comments, sir, and you too, Dollface. Great comments. And to answer your question from before, Dollface, I was having Hershey Kisses to answer your question. What was I eating earlier? Anyway,
also, if they talk about me, it's spaghetti and salad. Just wanted
to. Yes. He's eating spaghetti and salad, people.
Spaghetti and salad. There
you go. All right. So, great content there, guys. Great. Anyway, so after that whole interaction, we basically it cuts away for a moment, and all of a sudden we come to a great scene where it shows Zoe Zimmer being interrogated by some people in suits, basically. And I'm not going to say their name quite yet because we're going to discuss them a little bit there. But she's being interrogated, saying, she interacted with this person that has these powers. They're asking her these questions, and she's kind of like, alluding, I kind of saw her face. I kind of knew who it kind of could be. Did she, and the other person comes in and they're talking and stuff like that. Was she this ethnicity? Was she this ethnicity type of deal? And they kind of all of a sudden lead out to that. And then all of a sudden they kind of like pan away and it goes back to Kamala. So I think that's a really great scene. We're going to talk about them in just a second, who that group was. But as we go back to Kamala, she's basically trying to get away from the scene, so that she doesn't discover who she is. And as she's going, all of a sudden, 2 drones all of a sudden start following her. Drones. I got Stark vibes there when I saw these drones. Like I was thinking, are these from Stark Industries? That's what it made me think of, just like in No Way Home. Looked very similar to those drones in No Way Home. And I was like, what's going on here? Why are these drones following her? And she's falling and she starts battering, she starts kicking their butts and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, this big rush of people show up and these police-looking cars and stuff like that and come out and they're trying to capture her. Who knows today? All of a sudden, if you look very closely at one of the person's things, it says DDoC. That sounds very familiar. DDoC. Where did I see that before? As was mentioned earlier by somebody that was mentioning it earlier, that was from Spider-Man Homecoming, I think. At the beginning of the
DD Mega Doo-Doo. I'm sorry.
Exactly. And that happens at the beginning of Homecoming. They're cleaning up the mess from the Tatari. Who is that? What's the name? Can somebody say the name for me here? What's the Department of
Damage Control?
Thank you. Yes, Damage Control. Yes. So this is interesting. We have not seen this. We've had brief talks about them, but we have not seen them since Spider-Man Homecoming. So I thought this was a really interesting talk. So now we can talk a little bit more about DDoC here. And what were your guys' thoughts when all of a sudden they popped up? Were you guys like happy? Were you guys like, oh, I was wondering if they were going to bring them back? And what are your thoughts on how that whole interaction there happened, with them? And she actually ends up getting away, and with the as Dre doesn't call him the Crush, I do as usual here. The Crush grabs her in his car and speeds away before we talk about the very ending. But DDoC, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Starting with you, JD.
I mean, we saw them in the last Spider-Man too.
Yeah, in No Way Home.
Yeah, they were a very large part of the opening of that movie. So we have seen them recently, and they were the mid-credit scene after the last episode of Ms. Marvel. So yeah, they're around, and those are Stark drones because Stark propped up the DDoC and gave them, or DODC, and gave them the contract. I think that was mentioned back in Homecoming. So yeah, they've been sharing a lot of tech back and forth. So those are absolutely Stark drones that she bodies. I mean, after the last episode, I expected to see them, and it seems that they have kind of stepped into the role that S.H.I.E.L.D. vacated, of like not only cleaning up after disasters, but also in a law enforcement capacity. It seems like they are going to be, I guess, pseudo S.H.I.E.L.D. moving forward, at least as far as like being a problem for the younger heroes that are just kind of coming into their powers.
All right, thank you. Dre, your thoughts, sir, on DDOC?
So I got some things, but talk about the DDOC. However, though, I don't want to spoil anything. That's the thing. But I can't want me to. So DDOC again. I think I said prior in the early in this episode that I think the DDOC is Skrull or Kree. I'm sorry. Because in Spider-Man No Way Home, I've got the head agent for the DDOC. I've got his name. He said that Nick Fury is in outer space. He's not on his plane anymore. How do you know that? You only know that if you know that he's on that big ship when you sleep like a son, and he claps his hands. Like you personally know that. So I do think that the DDOC is Kree, or sorry, Skrull, one of them. And also another thing is Agent Deaver, is played by Alyssa Rainier, who was the head warden on, if you ever watched Orange and the New Black. Who I hear is in real life is a beautiful, sweet.
She really is.
Woman.
She is the nicest person.
Nicest person ever. However, she plays in roles that you want to smack the oh my goodness! She gets on my nerves, and even with this, because her role when they were talking to I forgot her name with million followers, when talking to her, came off kind of prejudice almost.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and so she plays a bad guy, a bad woman, great. So that's my little thing. I think the DDOC is not of this world, and I still think that it's still run by Nick Fury as well. I mean that's another theory that I have, flawed theory, but theory that I have. Okay, but that's it.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that they were going to set up Damage Control as the villain on this show, given kind of the limited scope of the first episode. And then Kamran shows up, and I was like, nah, never mind.
All right, thank you. Ellie, your thoughts?
I mean, after No Way Home, seeing them again, I was like, oh my god, like, just go away, please, just like leave them alone, because obviously what they do has expanded upon from where they were in Homecoming, because in Homecoming it was more just like cleaning up destruction after like an alien invasion, what it may be. But then when we see them again in No Way Home, it was more specific to dealing with enhanced individuals and whatever was going on with their situation. So we saw what happened with Peter and how they brought him in because of what, like, the whole situation with Mysterio. So it's interesting to see them back again, kind of like in that capacity within Ms. Marvel, to be like, okay, we have this like young enhanced individual, cause a little bit of destruction, probably a good idea to like deal with it. But it's just, I mean, there's so many different questions coming into play, because my mind also goes to like the Sokovia Accords and wondering if, because I mean, we haven't really heard about the Sokovia Accords since like WandaVision, really. So I'm like wondering if they're going to bring that back in, because I mean, obviously it's played such a big role within the MCU that I do kind of want them to bring it in, because I'm like, they still exist. They never went away. And I kind of want to see more of like their impact, which of course I feel like it's going to bring in that conversation of like Team Iron Man versus like Team Captain America again. But again, I think it's a very great conversation to have, and it's very nuanced, but I have just a lot of questions about their role and where else it's going to go. But also, I totally agree. I think they're Skrulls, because again, how the hell were they going to know that Nick wasn't on Earth?
Mm-hmm.
If only the Skrulls know, and like let's say if only Carol knows.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on there?
I do want to say and I'm not trying to hurt your heart, but if they are squirrels, the DDoC or squirrels, you will see a lot more of them in Secret Invasions.
Oh,
I'm
for
curious
sure.
to see that. Like, I'm very
Yeah.
excited for that show, actually.
Very much so. Yes, I agree. Yeah, Secret Invasion is gonna be really fun. I think a lot of the ones that they've been talking about, Secret Invasion, Secret Wars, and stuff like that, are all going to be very interesting and going to be great adds to the MCU itself.
Yeah,
Jeffrey, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I've listened to what everybody else has pretty much been saying and whatnot and everything. And again, everybody's covering most of, what my thoughts pretty much already are. And that's what we already touched on earlier in the show. The fact that something just doesn't seem straightforward or right with these agents. Like, I'm getting a massive Skrull vibe here or something. Or there's something going on there. And am I going too far if I go ahead and mention what is the deal with the mom from the Crush's mom popping up in the backseat of the car and all that shit? Like,
they have a very close relationship.
Okay, is there something else going on there though? Like, I mean, is there something mystical or like having to do with her powers going on there or something? Or,
I mean, again, I'm on team everyone is a Kree, so. Yeah, I think that there are different factions of Kree hanging out on Earth, and and I think that was highlighted by the fact of them talking about the partition in Pakistan and India and the civil war there. I think that was probably a conflict that was instigated by the Kree, and these are different factions of the Kree that are around on Earth, and they have probably a less than good purpose for Kamala at this point, and that's probably one of the reasons that her family didn't want her to have this bangle.
So, I mean, I'm sorry, Cyber, if we're going on to the next thing, but I do want to go and say that to me, and I'm pretty sure I'm right, but the lady in the back seat is Kamala's great grandma. That they're talking about. She still could be Kree. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying she's not. I'm just saying that.
Oh, if that's a great grandma, she definitely Kree because she's been alive for a long time.
Which
also,
means that her crush is her uncle.
Is very much off limits at that point. Yes.
And
that is a definite no.
Yeah. And that's why I said that I don't want to call her a crush when he's her uncle. And
I mean, she has one on him. That's very tenuous at this point.
All great points. So that'll just take us right into the final segment of this episode, and that's where we left off. Kamala jumps into the car with the crush, and all of a sudden, while they're in there driving away, she takes off her helmet, and it's like, "Oh, thank you for saving me for this and stuff." And then all of a sudden, in the back, we see the vision she saw earlier, and that's of the supposed. We think it's the great grandmother. So basically, that's how it ends. She's like, "I'm looking forward to. I've been waiting a long time to talk to you," and that's basically how it ends. So, to finish off this awesome segment, the final question of the night for you guys. As we've already talked a little bit about her, we said this could be her great grandmother. This could be, she could be a Kree, she could be a Skrull, she could be any of these things. Just give me your final thoughts on what do you foresee maybe this person being, and what were your thoughts on when all of a sudden she popped up right at the end of this episode? Starting with you, Dre.
So I'm one of the people that think that is her great grandma. I'm not throwing away the theory that she could be Kree or Skrull. More likely Kree though. I do think that is her grandma only because of her mom. Every time she asks about her grandma or when I forgot what the metal piece, and I'm sorry if what I forgot, but the thing that activated her powers. when she first got it in episode 1, she didn't want nothing to do with that. Talking about her grandma, she didn't want nothing to do with that. So I do think, because this is literally episode 3 is literally the mid season, because there's only 6 episodes. I think 6 episodes, right? 6 episodes. So 3 and 4 there are going to be 2 of the like high theory pushing episodes. I do think that this is her great grandma. She's alive because of some reason. I do think that the Luma Aunties, which is a great name, Luma Aunties all were right. She probably did kill a man. She probably did, mess something up. And that's the reason why her mom the one. Also, another flawed theory as well is that I do think that her mom will know that that's Kamala, because again, I think her mom knows everything that thing brings out. So I do think it's a grandma. I do think it could be Kree, and we have to see next week. I'm very, very excited.
I agree. Very excited. JD, your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I agree with Dre. I think they all Kree. I think that's her great grandmother in the back of that car.
And her uncle.
Yeah, I think that crush now has very different vibes to it. But yeah, I am fully aboard the Kree theory, and it would make sense for there to be Kree on Earth as represented by them, and then Skrulls as represented by the DODC, and then they don't get along with each other in general. We've seen that already. So yeah, I think they are actually using this to lay groundwork for stuff that's probably 3 or 4 projects down the line.
Awesome, thank you. Ellie, your thoughts?
I mean, I'm not sure what else to add. I definitely agree. I think it's a great grandma. That was my thought. Like, what was it? Like halfway through the episode, they brought her up so many times where I'm like, clearly, like we're gonna see her at some point. So now we've got a little sprinkle of maybe, hopefully, I think it's her. I'm 90% sure it's her, but I'm kind of eager to see where the story goes and where that relationship goes, because I feel like it's, of course, naturally going to bring its own obstacles along the way. And I feel like Kamala's going to learn a lot about her family and more into why her family doesn't like talking about the great grandma. I feel like she's going to get a really good picture of the whole situation. And I feel like it might be an interesting curve for her to kind of learn about her own thoughts and her own feelings and really coming to terms with it and kind of forming her own opinion.
Very true. Yeah, very much so. I think that's definitely going to be something that we're seeing in the future episodes, most definitely. So to round us out, Mr. Jeff, your thoughts, sir?
Again, I mean, everybody is being outstanding on the show. We've got some great guests on tonight and whatnot, and they are basically just covering every single thing I would possibly say. So at that point, rather than blather away on nothing, I'd rather just, say that I agree with the majority of everything that our fabulous guests had to say.
Awesome. All right. So that is the end there, folks. We want to thank you all for that amazing episode talk. I want to thank all the panelists for being on tonight. You guys did a great job. Thank you for all your contributions. So I'm going to go around the table here, and if you guys would like to plug your podcast, please do so. Don't forget, people, we are The Bleeding Edge is a part of the Minds of Creativity Network. Definitely keep your eyes out for that awesome launching of that amazing website when it's all ready and to go. Also, if you enjoy my moderating, if you join me on the show, definitely check out my solo stuff under Cyberneticshark, under YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, anywhere you can find me, you'll find me. Just look for Cyberneticshark, you'll find me. Of course, Mr. Jeff and me first met here on Rizzle So definitely check out that app too, which is very similar to TikTok. Not as big as TikTok, but definitely still fun place to meet people and do little short videos as well. So starting with you, JD, if you want to plug away, and we'll just go around the table.
Yeah. You can find me on Level 7 Access, Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. You can find me. I am running a actual play tabletop role playing game called Masks. It's with the Moon Harbor Heroes Network. So we're running our kind of version of the Defenders on that show. I've been in a couple of audio dramas. Breathing Space was the last one that I was in, so I recommend you check that out as well. If you like kind of space themed westerny audio dramas, it's a good place. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, definitely check those out, people. Definitely gonna be checking that out myself. All right. Dre, please.
So you can find me my two podcasts. The first one is Mash Debaters, where we debate some most of the likelier topics. We go live on Thursdays at 7 p.m. PT, which is 10 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time. And then in that podcast we debate some of the most unlikely topics. And also we have Mash Debaters presents the 3 Count, which is a wrestling podcast. We talk about AEW, WWE, and everything in between, which will go live on Sundays at 2 p.m. Or if there's a pay-per-view, then we go live really right after that. And then edit and then put it all on anywhere you can find podcasts, on Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you can find podcasts. And thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. Thank you. And definitely check those out, people. Great stuff. Great content, I've heard. And Ellie, please.
Again, I am the host of All Day with Ellie, and just across nearly all social media platforms, I'm All Day Show. I'm pretty consistent with my content, pretty posting on TikTok, interacting with people on Twitter, Instagram, wherever it may be. But yeah, just lots of nerdy fandom culture content.
Awesome. Thank you. I want to shout out once again Jay Ren and Dollface for being in our comments tonight. Thank you guys for leaving your comments. You guys are always fun to have, especially when you're on the panel or in the comments. You guys are great. Thank you very much. And Jeff, anything else to say before we end it out?
No. Ellie, how do I connect with you on TikTok? What do you go by on there?
All Day Show.
All Day Show?
Yeah.
Excellent. No, all I can really just honestly say is that, as always, I really genuinely just want to say that I really appreciate Dre and Ellie and JD for joining us, Cyber. You guys are great. It's always really awesome to have a chance to collaborate with excellent people like you. And as always, you're just bottom line, you're repping us as always as good ass people. And hey, it's really nice to have a chance to do shows like this and meet good people like this and whatnot. And I'm looking forward to having a chance to come on some of your shows and whatnot and everything and see what you're all about, what you guys have going on. We all love the network, and I'm sure that you guys probably know all kinds of cool people in the content creation community and whatnot that we probably love to meet. But you guys were great, and you know what? We really appreciate you. Thank you. The Bleeding Edge is not me and Cyber. It's you guys.
All right. And that is it for the Bleeding Edge, guys. We'll see you next time.